Hello everyone and welcome to the Bruno Galan talk show. If you like this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel to not miss any future episodes. I also want to mention I have a Patreon page in the description down below for those who are interested in further supporting it. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruno Galan talk show. And today I have with me a game designer for Tabletop Roleplaying Games, who I believe this year will be awarded. I think it's an award for most politically correct company in the tabletop role-playing game. Is that right, James?
Yes, that's absolutely inevitable at this point. That's something we very greatly deserve, and I would be very honored to receive such an award.
So James Edward
Raggi.
Raggi, yes, the fourth,
Raggi.
of course. Not to be confused with the third or the fifth. And yeah, so your company is called Lamentations of Flame Princess, and how can I put this? Obviously, for anyone who didn't catch up on that, we were kind of sarcastic at the beginning there. James likes to swim in controversy, but I don't think he has mean reasons, if I can put it that way. I think he's very anti-censorship, and I really want to go deep in that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, James, I'm gonna be very direct. Like, what makes you really want to do stuff that other people be like, no way? I like, because your products contain like profanity, themes that a lot of people stay clear of, and it's like just things that in this day and age, like people are just ready to misinterpret right away just because you mentioned this. Like they're gonna jump on that. Like so. What drives you to keep doing that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, from the beginning, well, when I was a kid, I played Dungeons and Dragons in the '80s. That was back in the early to mid '80s. I am now 47. Jesus, 47 already. And so I was playing Dungeons and Dragons in the middle of the Satanic Panic, where, on 60 Minutes, they have Gary Gygax on there and they're grilling him about the harms that his game could cause. Where, yeah, the age of parents throwing out their kids' D&D books. Kids, I used to hear stories, that was back when you could beat your kids and it was considered normal discipline. And that would happen because, you're playing this Satan game that's going to make you kill yourself. And
also, kids have crappy armor class, as we all know. So
yes. So, my mother got me into Dungeons and Dragons. And then almost immediately after, she heard about the controversies, so she made me watch that Tom Hanks movie, Mazes and Monsters, like it was some sort of documentary. Like, don't lose your mind. Like, what? Even had a police officer back in those days, come talk to the class about the dangers of heavy metal and Dungeons and Dragons. And I look back at that and think, oh, that worked real fucking well. Oh, sorry, I didn't ask what the
you can
language.
Swear.
Okay.
You can swear. I'm probably at some point I'm probably gonna start putting episodes on Odyssey, because who knows with YouTube these days.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, like all those, I think there are discs in the back that say like metal stuff. I don't know which metals, but James sure knows.
Yeah, I got around 2,000 CDs. I still like physical media, and vinyl is too expensive, so CDs it is. But well, that was the origins of the censorship. But then I would get upset about things like, as I went on, things like Two Live Crew and Body Counts Cop Killer, and just every time I'd hear about these controversies in the media, I'd be like, what the hell? And later I found out like all of the Friday the 13th movies are heavily censored. Even going later on than that, like American Pie had to have its dialogue censored because just talking about sex in certain ways was going to make that movie NC-17. And then I got in. I've always been into horror movies, so the fact that horror movies that are basically showcases for horrible things happening have to be censored before anyone's really allowed to see them. If you want to get things in the theaters or that. And in the late 90s, when companies like Anchor Bay started re-releasing uncensored versions of foreign movies, and they would put the butchered American versions in, as bonuses on the releases, so you'd see what it's supposed to be and what had to happen for the American market. I was like, they're butchering these things. And heavy metal, there's been controversies over the years. My favorite one is Cannibal Corpse had their first 3 albums banned for some time in Germany, and that included live performances. Like there were police that would randomly go to monitor their concerts that didn't know the material, just had a list of song titles. So all they had to do is not announce the song they were playing. Because Cannibal Corpse has the vocal style, you can't understand any of the lyrics. So and how they had to be secret about it, because this was back before the internet was widespread. So they'd give an interview in a magazine, and as long as it's not a German magazine, you figure the German authorities aren't going to hear about it until they do. So the fact that he gave that one member of the band gives an interview to some Greek magazine about, oh yeah, we just play the songs, we just don't announce the titles, and then and it's like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah,
this is stupid. And so all of this, when I decided to do my own RPG company and decide what is my thing going to be, it was just leaning into all this. It's like, okay, I was disappointed that TSR, caved, when
TSR being the company that owned
that made Dungeons and Dragons through the 90s, yeah, that they caved to the public pressure and took out all the controversial elements and introduced basically their own childlike comics code, basically, for standards and products. I mean,
doesn't that sound familiar?
They, in the 1970s, TSR was releasing in books that says for, what was it, age 8 or 10 or greater, they're releasing things with like full frontal nudity, yes, for one picture, but like lots of boobs.
A very I would say simplistic art style, though, and
well, it's line art, but it would still work. I mean, that succubus that's in the back of the monster manual, for instance, that it's simplistic, but it's good art. It's evocative. Just because it's not a complicated technical piece doesn't, it's not a strike against it.
There's a difference in art between details and efficiency, and there's you mentioned a little bit the comic book code authority and all that. Like in comics, sometimes like the best artists are those who know how to use the art to tell a story, not necessarily those who make the best splash page.
Yeah.
So,
well,
again, the efficiency of art is very subjective, but
and I was also a fan from a very young age of the Savage Sword of Conan comic books, and these were magazine format, so I guess they weren't subject to the comics code, because lots of gore and nudity, especially earlier on. They got rid of the nudity later, but early on,
I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, well, I think once you hit the 80s, there wasn't as much nudity.
No, I think in the black and white one they kept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe
look, I'm not gonna put my hand on the
fire.
But
Definitely early on, it was no big deal to have boobs in the comics. That's for sure. Whether I'm misremembering about the later stuff in the 80s, maybe
in the 90s they started, but you know what? Like I remember in Spain, obviously there was a lot of reprints. I'm half Spanish, so I would spend my summers in Spain, and there are lots of reprints of Savage Sword of Conan, and there was so much material where you did see the boobies and all that. Like I think into maybe in the 90s, I can imagine them like starting to stop that, but into the 80s, I'm pretty sure they were doing that in the magazine black and white format.
Yeah. So I was. Because my mother and my father had introduced me Savage Sword of Conan and horror movies, and so it wasn't abnormal for me to see this stuff at a young age, and some of the stuff was maybe too much. Well, my mother wanted to show me, because she had been into horror movies before I was born. So once I was interested in any of this, she wanted to show me all her favorites. So I remember after we got our first VCR, I don't think I was a teenager yet, or had just turned into a teenager, and she was showing me Flesh for Frankenstein, aka Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. And this is like a perverted Frankenstein movie where, okay, let's see if I'm remembering this correctly. Like the Frankenstein in the movie, the doctor starts screwing a corpse, that he's working on to assemble one of the creatures, and the Igor assistant, sees this and thinks, oh, that's what sex is. So he goes and kills one of the servants, to stab her so he could have
How
sex.
old were you?
12, 13, and even
Okay,
that
not so bad. I mean, it's not
so
great,
bad,
but it's
but
not
I
bad.
remember there's a very graphic scene. Remember, this is when the horror movies in the theaters were usually censored. So someone like the big hedge clippers cutting off someone's head, and it was a really graphic special effect. I remember sitting there watching this, and I was just thinking, Mom, this is a bit too much, I think. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street is intense, but okay. But this is creepy.
By the way, just real quick, because we're gonna have a split screen in the final recording, the result of our
Okay.
conversation. So I'm afraid that awesome poster will be cut out. So can you just move the camera just so at least show that, because there's an amazing poster that I don't think is gonna make the cut through our conversation. Behind you.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to show it. Like, just move the camera to show it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful poster.
Yeah, then you get the crappy couch and everything. But yeah.
You don't need to keep it there. I just wanted to show it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I put that there because this place is an absolute mess, and I was able to unclutter this room, but there's no door there, and then out in the hallway is just garbage. I mean, literally garbage still
You didn't have to
piled
tell
up.
me.
Oh yeah, well,
if it makes you feel better, this is
transparency,
just look. This is just like
that's books. That's clutter. That doesn't count.
Thank you. That's what I say. That's what I always say. James, I want to ask you. You're someone who really goes for controversy. You're telling me like the genesis of this fascination with the morbid that you have, and with just wanting to let people do what they want to do artistically. But at the same time, I notice at the very beginning when I asked you, and in other interviews I've seen of you, every time someone asks you just like very gently about it, I see you tense up. Like, okay, here we go. And it surprises me that someone who seems so affected by, actually you seem affected by what people might think, or you seem kind of stressed to talk about it, and yet you go for it. And first of all, that's admirable that you are able to do that, because obviously there's some people I think who do it, but they want to be morbid, they want to be offensive, but their reasons for doing so are not artistic, or they're not trying to make a statement about free speech or art. And then people who, I think in the artistic world right now, especially in tabletop role-playing games, I think there's a lot of people who are self-censoring just out of fear, not out of really believing that censorship needs to happen. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of role-playing games now that people can argue like what is fine to chop or not for whatever audience, but at some point, like just like unpleasant subject matter in any material is bad because someone might be uncomfortable, and it's fine for large diversity of products to exist. So if you have something more kid-friendly, or something that's just light superheroics or light fantasy or whatever, but it's also fine for hardcore stuff to exist for people who want to go into these dark subject matters. And everything's being sanitized in the tabletop role-playing game industry. And I'm explaining a bit for people who might not know this industry, or might not play it or play casually. So this is a very long-winded way of saying it doesn't seem to be easy for you. Maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
It used to be. It used to be easy, but then at some point it gets really complicated, where the armor's been worn away, and so all these things about saying, "Oh, you're a horrible person because of this, that, the other thing," it wears down on me. And we've gone into this interview fresh. I don't know. We didn't do any pre-interview or discussion about so I don't know I don't know what's coming next.
What I'm going to ask you.
It could be supportive, or you could be here to challenge me on things. So I don't know what's coming, and so it's like, okay, is this a friendly interview? It's like, oh goodness, are you going to be asking me about something I haven't thought of? And I've been doing this for 12 and a half years now, so you're going to pick out something from like 8 years ago where I got to remember and defend it, and then if I say the wrong thing, of course.
I want to say, okay, I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to come after you, and
okay.
I might ask you some questions that if you're not comfortable with, we can move on. I'm not trying to trick you into anything, but I do seek to have a meaningful conversation, because I think that all the interviews you have are very much based on the material, which we'll touch upon. But I also think that a lot of people kind of skip over why the material exists, why you're doing this, and you do talk about it. You're very open about it, but at the same time, I think there's things where, if I may say so, you're talking about an armor being chipped, and yeah, and I'm not going after you. And if I ask you any questions that have to do with anything that people have gone after you, it will be for me a chance for you to speak your piece and defend yourself. Or you can also say, you know what, this we don't like. It's too nuanced and long for the time we have. That can also be so I want to have a meaningful conversation. When people have meaningful conversations, we might broach upon things that are not simple, that are nuanced, or that are complex, or that everyone wants to just simplify and not look at all the angles.
Well, for example, the issue that, but even a friendly conversation, if it's a challenging subject, I have to worry about not only wanting to be open and telling the truth about what's going on, but wording it in a way that someone can't clip it, because I surely I worry about it far more than people are examining it, but I have been one of the main characters in the daily conversation before. So I'm always worried somebody's watching, someone could take this out of context. Oh, because this is off the cuff conversation, something I just say in the moment. Oh, what if it could be taken completely wrong? And it's So yeah, I have to be aware of those sorts of things while also trying to get my points across. So yeah, I tense up because it's like, okay, think, what are you going to say next? It would be nice if I can just be jokey and sarcastic, or in turn with being earnest, or it's very it's an awful thing to have to think about what you say, not only in terms of what do you want to say, but how is every stupid motherfucker on earth going to spin it against you?
Yes, I fully agree. I fully agree, and I think we've come to be in a society that kind of lives in fear of that. We live in fear of someone, like, I don't know, like Twitter is an awful place for. I realized not long ago. I haven't been using Twitter that long, but I realized, it thrives in conflict. Twitter thrives because like you have a limited amount of things you can say, and then you say something, you don't have enough space. You're typing the next part. The person already replied to what you're saying, or they don't notice the reply under the reply, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's no point in doing this. And also I think anyway. So this is just an example where, snippets, and I see people on Twitter just lie about people they disagree with, and what I would consider to be a normal person can be on Twitter called a fascist and a communist by different people. Which, I think any extremist, if someone else is an extremist, they'll see them as the other extremist. That's what happens. I think we've come to live in a place that is less fearful. And now I want to say something. There's something Alan Moore said about South Park at some point. He said, I don't always agree with what they have to say, but God bless them for saying it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how I feel about you, by the way. Like your products, like sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I actually don't agree with that. I think that went too far. But you know what? I see what he's trying to do, and I'm just being open. Like I appreciate what you do, and even if my sensibilities are like, because it's kind of funny, like the word offended has become kind of like this joke or this weapon, or But I think it's a normal emotion. Sometimes we see things and we are offended, whatever it is. Like maybe we're offended by something that's really not offensive to someone else. Like, like if people, I don't know, like people like dark Batman, maybe they're offended by the new Batman cartoon that's super light. So but they're not gonna go rant about it. It's just an emotion. So I think just people don't know how to handle their emotions anymore. They don't know how to not jump to conclusions. They don't know how to live and coexist with people who don't fully agree with them. Um, it's we've come to a place of fear. But I want to ask you at this point, I'm also wondering, and I'm just asking this question because I'm curious about this. Anyone who already dislikes you because I don't know, you put like there's violence against women in your books, even though there's violence against anyone, you're just being a 50-50, I think. Or because you're preaching for a game style where bad things can happen to players, you chose to have like a main character is the flame princess in your book, so obviously bad stuff is going to happen to her the same as anyone else. And like whatever like people find to dislike you, at this point, what do you care if they're gonna nitpick what you say, because they're really dislike you anyway, and the people who like you are gonna understand the context. So why does it matter? Why must you have this fear of what you're gonna say if um like people who made their mind, and especially in this day and age, that's it, their mind is made. They're not going to listen to the full interview in good faith and just listen to the context. They're just going to have their opinions. They're going to go for a soundbite. They're going, oh, see that soundbite, I knew it, and maybe that was someone saying this and this wouldn't make sense, and then someone grabs that quote, removes the part at the end that says wouldn't make sense, like, see, I knew it. So what do you even care at this point?
Well, there's a few things going on with that. First, there's the personal toll.
Mhm.
If you stumble on a situation where a bunch of people are, pointing at you and saying this is a bad person, go, that is personally wearing down. That is always the case. Now, and I'm badly, I'm of a bad temperament to be even a Z-grade celebrity in that way. But the more important thing is business wise. I mean, this is not a huge business. This is a very niche, specialist kind of thing. This sort of graphic heavy metal horror aesthetic within tabletop role playing, and one of the things that makes a game successful is the idea of a community, that if you buy these books, you can play it with people.
Yeah.
And that becomes more difficult to do if in certain places online, if someone brings up the game line or one of the books, then the conversation isn't about the game, but about the moral qualifications of the people involved in it. And then people who aren't familiar are going to be, they could, if you're in a community online and you're getting along and something comes up and there's a bunch of people who are familiar with it that say, oh, that's awful and they're bad people, you're not going to research. You're just going to be like, oh, okay. Or if you're a potential player and you think, okay, that sounds cool, but oh my God, if I get into it, I'm going to be grouped in with all that. I don't want that. I'll just play
Yes.
this other thing and do my own thing.
Yeah.
It's that I say that sucks, but that's also the world, and it's always been the world. But people, somewhere along the line, there's this whole list of things where if you don't toe a certain party line, then online spaces aren't going to be for you, because there will always be people to say, oh, they're that sort of person, they're this and that and the other thing, and it's just and I saw an amazing thing. This, apparently there's a brand new controversy over on Paizo where they're going to get rid of references to slavery in all their books now, and it was like, I shouldn't care. What they do is what they do. It doesn't affect me. But I took a look at
If
their
anything,
message board.
it'll send people who want dark themes your way.
Yeah, but there's this, they're arguing about this over on the Paizo message boards, and there's one person that says one of the benefits of message boards is that, what was the exact wording, that about fearing living in fear of judgment of your peers to keep people in line on message boards. And I was like, holy shit. That's
Yeah,
like
we're talking about a game.
yeah, and this person was considering this a positive feature of message boards.
Oh, they thought it was. They thought it was positive. Oh, I missed that
Yes.
part. Okay.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, how could you think like that? That's awful. Holy
James,
shit.
I want to say, by the way, if you want to throw some questions back at me, like let's say I ask you delicate questions, like it's only fair that you ask me like, what do you think about that,
Yeah.
or something like that. Okay, so just to make it fair, I don't want to be like throwing tomatoes at you without you having the chance to throw them back.
Right.
And I'm making jokes when I say throw tomatoes. That's not my intention. See, even there's something I want to talk about, and even so maybe I'll talk by myself a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe you don't have anything to add. Maybe there's something to add, and I'll just take it upon myself to talk about it by myself, and I'll talk about my impressions of the thing, and then we can move on, or you can add something to it if you want. A while back, you took a picture with Jordan Peterson. You went to one of his convention, to his talks, and it was kind of a joke. You wanted to go around and find celebrities and kind of like have them like go like this with the Lamentations of the Flame Princess book. And people are very outraged because in the eyes of a lot of people, they consider Peterson to be a transphobe regarding his stance of Canadian laws on speech. And I have no idea if he was right or wrong. I have never took that deep dive. I've seen arguments go both ways, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But you went afterwards to explain. Look, You said that you were deeply depressed, and you started listening to some stuff he said about taking responsibility for your life, and you're basically like you found some inspirational stuff in there. And my wife likes to snub a bit Peterson in the sense she's like, well, he's just repeating what Carl Jung said and others, and she read a lot of stuff. She's way smarter than me, so she's kind of like, that's very simplistic. And okay, very well, but for other people, maybe it's like, hey, this is the first time I heard that, like me included. And talks about things like the role of the father and all that. And as a father, I find that interesting. Now, again, I don't know if he's right or wrong about the laws and all that. You shared that you were in deep depression, which apparently is something that we should respect. We should respect people's depression. We should respect what they're going through, and we should respect the means that they find to feel better. And at no point did you mention, I really like what he had to say about trans people. No, you were talking like what he said about taking responsibility of saving yourself. You're your own. No one's going to come and save you, I think was the part that really affected you. And so you share with people, look, it has nothing to do with that part of the story. I just found something that helped me. And you talked about your weight loss you had at that moment and how you're doing better. And then I imagine that what happened didn't help. And for all of the politically correct people who are like all about being careful for people's disabilities, physical or mental, and what people are going through, like they sure seem to not really apply it when they disagree with someone. And what I found crazy was like, there's no point. Like it was clearly like you were seeking something that had nothing to do with that other conversation. And yet you're torn apart online, and people who collaborated with you in the past who knew very well that you were like people who worked for your company, who you treated very well because you pay people well. And that's something I want to say, like in this controversy of like Paizo, the company that has Pathfinder, like for people who don't know these companies, like tabletop role-playing writers are paid like they get a slap in the face, spit on, and here's a loony, and go write some more. And that's how it works. And James doesn't do that. James has a small company, but he pays people their fair share. And this is something I really want to go to, like, what's the context of things? Why did someone do that? Not just did you like that he hung out with this one. What was the reason behind? Your reason had had nothing to do with hatred for other people. Had to do like this part of what he's saying helps me right now, and I need help. And that I think should have been respected. That is what I'm saying. And I also want to say that when you look at actions, not like what did you post like on Twitter, like, oh, I think murder is wrong. Oh, you're so brave to say that. Like, yeah, no shit. Everyone thinks murder is wrong if they're decent. And I'm using this as an umbrella for whatever other thing is being said, Of course, racism is bad. Of course, like all those things. Of course, it's bad. Of course, homophobia is bad. And yet, people like, oh, you didn't write that in your profile. Like, well, what does that have to do with the fact that I'm doing this or that? That has nothing to do with. I'm not an activist. I'm just doing this. Um, I'm getting a bit off track, but what I mean is to say is in actions, you have treated people way better than a lot of other people in the industry who just write some bullshit on Twitter and they're considered good people, but they treat others like shit. And this is my rant, my defense rant regarding you. You don't have to add anything to it, but it's something I really wanted to get off my chest.
Well, okay, well, thank you, but the posting of that Peterson pic, I mean, yes, I did have the idea of getting close to celebrities. You know, he did the same thing with Santa Claus, you know, bands I like in Finland, where the idea is I'm posing with picture of my book, you know, the rule book, and smiling, haha, I'm with a celebrity, with the idea the celebrity's behind me giving the thumbs down, so it's like a comedic thing. And so I went to the Peterson, you know, thing here in Helsinki, and I, you know, had the opportunity to do that with him, and it's like, okay, let's do it. And it's not like I specifically targeted Peterson as it's just going to be about Peterson, because I was doing it with these other people, and the idea was to continue doing it. But it also it wasn't completely innocent either, because I knew it would completely wind up and drive insane the people that I consider like the RPGnet faithful. RPGnet is a very prominent tabletop RPG message board that is very left wing, and it's you know, in its enforcement of the rules, what you're allowed to say, what conversations are
and
like.
I want to say, by the way, I want to say real quick, I'm left wing, but we're talking like far left, like far.
Well, it's the kind of place in their off-topic, you know, tangency forum. You know, you see people saying things like, "Oh, pets are slavery," you know, that kind of thing. So I knew those, you know, I knew that Peterson, you know, gets protested. So I thought, okay, this is gonna drive those weirdos over there nuts. What I hadn't yet realized is that, you know, the entire world has turned into tangency. That sort of thinking is now everywhere, including in my house, so to speak, where I think, you know, that surprised me, because I especially, you know, in the days of Google Plus, that it's got the you know, Google Plus has the reputation for being a failed attempted social networking site, but
not for
it was
players. It wasn't.
It was huge for tabletop role playing. You know, you'd be interacting and talking to thousands of people. It was very active, and I was always very open with things that I liked, and so the idea that so that it was shocking to me to find out that people who knew me and worked with me, that this would surprise them and offend them. And it wasn't just all public posturing. I had some pretty interesting private conversations as well with people that weren't doing it for the public clout, but just pissed at me. And I was just like, what? It's like, have you actually listened to anything that he said, or do you just read the... Like, I remember, okay.
It's really easy to take him out of context, because he's talking about, for example, he's talking about psychology and you know, like the roles of the father in modern society and stuff like that. So of course, if you take a small tidbit out of it, it sounds bad, right? Sometimes, like if you select because he's talking about some really deep shit that happens in human beings, and human beings are multifaceted. We have our shadow self. We have a lot of stuff going on, and he talks about deep shit that some people don't want to hear as well. You know, for example, like, look, I'll jump in front of the train and mention this one, for example. Like, he mentions the role of parents and how the role of the mother and the father, and they're not the same role. And then he mentions that for example, the challenges of parents who might not have that combination, or single parents, but he doesn't say at any moment, oh, they shouldn't have kids, or oh, they can't do it. He's just talking about like the basic challenges of what a kid sees growing up, like the influences, if there's no father figure, what does that do to a kid? And of course, it's easy to grab that and be like, oh, see, like he's patriarchal, sexist, who thinks that children can't be raised without a dad. That's not what he said, though. So it's just stuff like that. Like you talk about psychology and you talk about like human beings. We're very complex, and there's a lot of stuff to dissect, and not all of it is easy to digest. But people want to digest in small bites, but it doesn't work that way.
He also says a lot of silly shit too. I mean,
dude, that's 100%. I was gonna add that just now. I was just gonna add that. I don't always agree with him. Like,
I mean, yeah, I find he has valuable things to say, but he also has silly shit that he says.
But I don't need to agree with someone all the time to find value in what they have. That's the point. Like, I don't need to agree with someone on all points. Like it's. Sorry, go ahead.
So that sort of thing. Well, these days, since he's come back from his illness, he's been doing his podcast where he's been having celebrities on, and so I'm always posting when he has a celebrity on. I'm posting it to my personal Facebook, saying, "Oh no, Stephen Fry's an awful person now. Oh no, Russell Howard's an awful person now. Oh no, Matthew McConaughey," because it's just ridiculous that the public intellectual thing, most people have something good to say. Most people have stupid shit that they say. And it's just, everybody's going to have their own opinions on what the balance is from any particular person. It's, there's no,
I like to look at actions in other words. For example, in your case, like you pay your writers, you pay your artists, and way more than you need to, actually, especially for a small company.
Well, what we do, it's well, with the writers especially, but especially with the latest releases, the artists it's a profit split. So the better the book does, the more everyone gets paid. If the book falls flat on its ass and nobody buys it, nobody gets paid.
But you could get away with just being like, here's this many bucks. That's it. That's all you get for the book. No matter how long it sells, no matter for how many years, you have paid, bye-bye. Or come back for the other one. You could do that.
Yeah, well, that's actually my preferred thing to do with the artists, because in my mind, the person that writes the book is laying out what everything is. The artists are illustrating it, and so I see the artist as having a subservient role in the production. Because the art, because if the writer is saying, "Oh, this is a monster with 15 tentacles,"
that's
and
it, James.
That's
a quote. That's a quote. Now all the artists are going to come after you.
Well, there are books where the artist is part of the creative process, and that they're more likely to be under the deals. Because I've worked with artists where, I give them the book with the layouts and here are all the blank spots. We need art. I'd ask them, just read the book and put what you think would be appropriate art. And they don't want to do it. They want to be told, at least generally, what should be in each spot. So it's like, okay, they're really doing work for hire. They're not creating, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. And look, like at the end of the day, how can I put this? Would you consider that what you pay artists for other small publishers, like do you think you're generous in your pay?
I have no idea, because I don't discuss this stuff with other publishers. And how much was this artist charging you?
Do artists keep coming back to you?
I've got a stable, stable of people I use,
and they're really good ones too, right? Like I see, the art is magnificent in your books, and in a bit I'm going to ask you to show a few, if that's okay. Like, I'm sure you want to, but it's amazing art, and they keep coming back. So I think you're doing something right there, because if you weren't, like, that caliber of artists could easily find work, I'm sure. I'm sure they do find work outside of your books, but like, I don't know if they'd be coming back all the time. Yeah, I want to ask you, like, when you go to, pre-pandemic, which, fuck me, this thing is taking forever to finish. And dude, I'm like, you have your conventions, and me, I used to do martial arts, And I don't mean like doing kata, and I mean like punching and choking other people and being choked as well. And so this is something I cannot do right now because I have vulnerable people in my life. If I was all by myself, like, yeah, cool, whatever. I can't. So it's just like, this is killing me. But you used to depend a lot, not depend, sorry, but you used to rely a lot on conventions for your business, and the pandemic kind of hit that. I want to ask you, because when you go to conventions, there's all those other publishers who talk shit. They talk mad shit, and then you see them. How are they like in person? Do they actually like say something to you? They ignore you? Do they stand up like, you know what, I disagree just as much in person, or do they actually kind of chicken? Oh, hey, how you doing? Like, what happens there?
I don't really interact with those people at all. They just keep their distance and I keep my distance, and every so often you see somebody going by the booth where there's the evil eye. That's it. Nobody does confrontations in person. Although honestly, I see stuff on the news and how people are being more aggressive with people they disagree with. So 2018, I think it was, I hired a security guard at GenCon because there was this big blow up about the vampire game and how the game was signaling to the alt-right and they were Nazis.
Which was so dumb. Yeah, just for context, Vampire the Masquerade, a game from the 90s, which was about playing vampires, and then the new version mentioned, just as the old version did, that some vampires were shock evil. Some vampires were alt-right. Like they didn't say players should play alt-right vampire. They just said like some vampires are alt-right. And to be clear, we're talking about monsters. We're talking about bad guys, which was like, yeah, goes to like Indiana Jones punched Nazis in the face. Indiana Jones was not a Nazi, so mentioning these bad guys is not like, oh, this is what we support. So just to give some context, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was this was like really intense, and so I was like, oh boy. So, and one of the people that was writing for me had worked on some vampire stuff and featured prominently in this column.
One of the people.
One of the people, yes. So I was like, oh shit, I don't. Yeah. So we hired a security guard, which ended up, I ended up going through the convention to get security, and it was just, I forget his name, but this really nice, really old guy who, if there was any trouble, he would have been absolutely useless as anything but a witness. So it was. It was funny because before someone suggested, just go to the convention and ask them if they've got people, there was, somebody, I'd gone online saying, how do you hire security for these things? Someone had said that he knew somebody that had a private security firm and was used to, like special forces military kind of thing, yeah, that does security detail for controversial celebrities. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit much. That's a
probably
bit
expensive.
Much. Yeah. And so then there was that. And then after the stuff with Zack Smith went down in 2019, and that's when things got really bad as far as the online situation. So that GenCon that comes up, well, we can go into more detail if you want, but the GenCon situation, it was like, I didn't want to hire another security guard because of how useless, but I was convinced that there was going to be some trouble. Because I was getting so much shit online. I was convinced there was going to be some trouble, and it wasn't out of the question that there would be a physical confrontation, because even during setup, even walking around Indianapolis outside of the convention, I was just always like checking over my shoulder. And for everyone at the booth, we had a plan if there was physical trouble. Who stays to act as the shield, who runs to get convention security, had to go
determining the order of the party.
Yeah, determining the order of the party, going to exhibitor services and asking them if the insurance that we have to buy to have a booth there, does that cover injuries? in case there's trouble at my booth. And I'm sure they love hearing that sort of question. And well, nothing happened. Well, that's the thing. I show up geared up for war, and everybody that bothered interacting with me was wonderful and supportive. The people that didn't like me just stayed away. But yeah, I was just, so I had to be prepared, and that created such a problem for me, having such expectations of trouble. Gonna go, and I'm just gonna get through it anyway, and then everyone's nice. It broke my brain. It just broke my brain.
Yeah, something has to be said about the bravery of online people. Like I think a lot of people like to, for example, this is gonna sound like some kind of weird flex, but I'm just saying what's my truth, what I've lived. It's happened in my life a few times that like I've had to defend people in actual physical confrontations. I'm just out there in the world, something happens, and I don't turn around. And the feeling you get when you did the right thing is very powerful. You feel like you contributed to society. Like if I defended a girl against someone who attacked her in the subway, then I feel really good about myself. It's a feeling that is really, whatever was going on in your life, however bad you felt, if you feel like you're a hero in that moment, it feels good. And I think a lot of people are chasing that feeling, except they do it through meaningless ways. They just go after bad guys, right? They go after bad guys. They go online after, oh, you said this, this opinion. And there's bad guys for sure, and they should be called out. But the problem is sometimes like when you can't find them right away, you're gonna look for them and you're gonna find them, because when you're really looking for something, you're gonna find it eventually. It's like people who numerologists, like people go crazy about numbers and they start finding like conspiracy theories. And like if you look for something and you're not observing a situation, you're just looking for something, you're going to find it for sure. So if you look for bad guys, you're going to find them. And people want to feel like heroes, right? Oh yeah, like I'm so brave. I called out that person. How dare you have made that joke or have said that? And look, there's jokes that offend me. I'm not saying like, oh, whatever happens, I'm indifferent. No, I have my own morals. I have my own limits on what I will accept regarding jokes and what was said or done. But again, like there's a difference between someone having made a stupid joke and being like, or maybe misinterpreted, and them being the worst person ever in the world. And so I can personally attest that it is a powerful feeling, and you feel like you're a useful member of society. You feel like you're someone who was meant to be there that day. And I think now people get that feeling, but they get through like meaningless ways, through like clicking on the keyboard. But in reality, they're cowards, because if they were something, they would do it another way. And if they were really heroes, they wouldn't be always attacking other people and trying to destroy their livelihood. And that's not what heroes do. And I think there's a lot of people, they think they're brave, they think they're heroes, and then when the reality comes, like, oh, there's that bad guy that you talk so much shit about. He's at the standard with the books. Isn't he a bad guy? Wasn't he deep down they know. I think either they're cowards and they really think all of that, but they don't really dare confront someone in person. And then they're going to be even more angry. Oh, I should, I was about to go talk to him. Yeah, sure. Or deep down they know it's bullshit. They're just chasing that feeling of feeling like a hero. And let me tell you, like again, I used to do martial arts before the pandemic and all that, and if the vibe in the tabletop RPG is very left, the vibe in combat sports is very right. Not all of them, but and I hear stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I don't agree with that, and like. But then again, I have to say, that guy in the gym who's saying these things, like, come on, man, don't say that. Like, it's not cool. Or at the same time, if I don't know, let's say they're making comments about certain group of people that for some old school people, they still have trouble wrapping their heads around, But then if one of those people would come into the gym, they would actually treat them really well. In their actions, they're like, you know what, whatever my opinion is, you came to learn this, and I'm going to show it to you properly. You're not going to get hurt. I'm not going to teach you bullshit. I'm going to, like, you came here, you're paying me your money. I'm going to teach you this.
Yeah.
Also, if they see someone out there being attacked, let's say they're like, I don't know, like whatever, like, those people, blah, blah. Yeah, but then there'll also be the ones who might defend someone who they might have been making jokes in the gym, and I'm like, no, don't say that. But then again, like, they'd be the person to step forward if something happens and protect that person.
Yeah, people are complicated.
Yes, they are. That's my fucking point. And then, like, let's say you're like going after someone like, oh, this person said that, therefore I'm going to destroy the livelihood All their families are going to be affected. They're never going to work again. I'm going to cancel them. Like, how is that the actions of a hero?
And you're
Like,
going to treat everybody that dare still be friends with them the same way.
oh my God, that is so stupid. Like, but the thing is that when people respond, that's when they get power hungry and they continue. I had the John from the amazing podcast Lamentations. He likes your games, by the way. And Lamentations is like this old school D&D podcast. He kind of like he plays by himself. He creates a story, but he doesn't know what the dice will give him, and then he kind of puts it in an audio story format, audio drama. It's really good. And he plays BXD&D, very similar to Lamentations of Flame Princess and Rules. And he was saying that around the beginning, when he started going online, some people started contacting him, like, "Hey, you're fooling. Did you know you're fooling this person? Did you know what they said?" Or like, and he said it felt like a threat. I'm like, yeah, it was, but he just ignored it, moved on, and then after a while, it stopped. However, let's say someone goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't know. I unfollowed them." That's it. You're in the net now. Now you're in their net. They're not gonna let you go.
Yeah, well, after the Jordan Peterson thing, I was hearing from people that apparently people were going through and contacting everybody I was working with and saying, "Oh, do you see this? Do you support this? Are you going to continue associating with this person?" And
yeah, of course. I want to talk about for a moment about Zack Smith, because he's the person who worked on Vampire the Masquerade. For people who don't know, artist, he went to some university in art. He did a lot of successful tabletop role-playing games with James, and he's also a painter. He's many things, and he also a porn star. And he so the guy has done a lot of professions, and so basically he was accused by his ex-wife of having been abusive. Now, instead of going like, well, we'll see, like, is there some legal action that was taken, or do we know what happened? Like, these are people who used to be together for years, then they separate. This is ugly. Like sometimes people lie, or maybe they don't. But we're in this era of, no, you always believe women, which I don't know if people know of the actress Amber Heard, but the ex of Johnny Depp. But it turns out that maybe there's cases where it's not always the case. Now, I don't know, but that's my whole fucking point, is we don't know. But people went after him with the certitude, like, always believe a victim, always believe. That's not how our society works. That's a dictatorship. If you are accused of something, you're guilty automatically. In my opinion, that's not how our society works. We can have our own personal opinions, but we can't be like, and we don't have to be friends with people if we feel bad about them. But yeah, so that was something that happened also as well, I think, at around that same time. No, that was the Vampire the Masquerade.
Well,
yeah, so that happened after.
Yeah, happened after.
Yeah, and your take was to at least temporarily, I don't know if this is permanent or not, to dissociate yourself from that person. And now more recently, and I don't know what that means, I'm just saying the facts, I'm just stating the facts. Recently, he has taken legal means, things defamation or whatever it is, and turns out he's kind of winning those in the court of law. Which can be taken as whatever people want to take it as. Again, we don't really know what happened at the end of the day, but you at least temporarily like separated from him artistically, and I want to ask you about that because you're very anti-censorship. You're very much about not letting people bully your art. Can I ask you about that? Like, what led you to that?
What I said earlier about being one of the main characters in the day's internet drama, that was it. And when the allegations came out, even before I responded, I had people that I was going to be making projects with disassociating. You saw, across the industry, people are saying, we're not going to carry his work anymore. He had worked on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and Wizards of the Coast saying, "Oh, we're sorry we ever." And we're sorry we ever worked with him, and there was all this shit.
We should have read his mind with telepathy.
Yeah, and it's
also innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah,
in my opinion, but yeah.
But it was just so crushing and overwhelming that it's really just, it was too much. It was even years later, people still associate Zack with Lamentations to such a degree that it's there's always this pressure. Just completely disavow him, call him a piece of shit, do this, do that. That pressure is still there, and it frequently comes up, and is just with the 2.5 years, almost 3 years hindsight now, I can say his personal life really interfered with the running of the company, with making things. And yeah, it was just a point where to stick with Zack at that point would have, I don't know if this is actually correct, but with all the pressure, it really felt like, okay, I can work with Zack or I can work with other people, but it really feels it can't be both. And this was difficult because he was the best selling author and artist on the label. So I I had just taken out a lot of business loans to finance reprints and things, with the idea that he was going to have 2 books out that year with me, and his stuff always sold like hotcakes. And yeah, it's just the decision is just, if to continue with him would basically mean that this entire enterprise was going to be about him and depending on him 100%, because everybody else, or nearly everyone else, was going to jump ship. And then whatever was going on in Zack's personal life was basically also going to be happening to me. And that's not, I can't deal with that. I just can't deal with that. That's, I mean, on one hand, I let him down because all the stuff going on in his personal life has nothing, or should have nothing, to do with role-playing books. That everything he's accused of, it's none of that, whether or not all the stuff he's accused of, even if it's all true, it's not like him not being a published role-playing author makes that go away. The fact of him having a role-playing book published doesn't make anybody less safe by itself. It's just people might get reminded of someone they don't like exists. That's all it is. The fact of publishing a role-playing book isn't going to empower someone's bad behavior.
Yeah, but they can be rewarded. I have very complex thoughts on this, because they can still be rewarded. Like, do you want to reward? But for me, it's like, we don't know. Innocent until proven guilty is important. Now, if there was some proof, like, look, this is really something that happened. Like, I can tell you, I wouldn't buy his products. But right now, I would. I can't, because we don't know, and we can't treat people like someone said this, therefore it's true. But also, like, people are very hypocritical in this. I wouldn't even go after someone if they did buy it, because this is gonna sound like a weird story. If I may, tell a little story of mine. One time, many years ago, I think I was still in my 20s, or early 30s. Anyway, I was younger. I come back from a bar drunk. I go to a pizza place and I order, and I'm like, okay, what's there? And they have some veggie pizza, and they have pizza with chicken. Like, oh, I'll take the pizza with chicken. And this is back when hipsters were still a thing. There's a table of hipsters, boys and girls, early 20s, much younger than me. And I hear one of them, one of the girls say passive aggressively, like, oh yeah, because you need chicken in a pizza. And I turn around and I look at them for a moment and I go, hey, you know what? The Coke you're drinking right now, Coca-Cola took water away from a village in India for one of their factories. You know that cell phone there? What's inside? There's women being raped and mutilated in Africa for pieces of what makes a battery. And I'm pretty sure she was always getting the recent one. I stick to my old phones for a long time. So my point was like, you know, my pizza with chicken. If you, okay, I don't mind if people think it's horrible that I'm eating an animal. That's their right to think that. And you know what? On some level, I even understand it. I just realized at some point, we have to live our lives, and we make the choices that are good for us. Like, okay, I can live with this. I cannot live with this, but we can't impose it on others. Like, I'm a huge MMA fan, mixed martial arts, and some of the fighters, like, look, they're not all saints, right? And I'm never gonna go after someone for saying, "Oh, I like to watch that guy fight." Do you know that he hit his wife? Therefore, you approve of like wife beating. And it's like you can't impose that sort of morality on people. All the guy did was watch the show. All those kids were doing was drink Coca-Cola and look at their phones. They didn't commit those actions. And I understand there's there's a domino effect in the life of every human being on this planet, but it's just this morality imposing. Like, look, I understand if someone wouldn't want me to eat that pizza, that's fine, but they can't like treat me like shit because they feel like that, because they're not any better actually. Anyway.
Well, there's the two separate things. It's like, are the allegations true? And then what's the morality of him working? Those are two separate questions. But as far as artistically, I mean, I can watch like a Roman Polanski movie and not have a problem.
Man, I haven't seen what was the one of the vampires. I have the name in French in my head because the Bal des Vampires. What was it in English? The Polanski vampire movie.
I'm not
Fearless
even that big a
Vampire
fan.
Killers. Fearless Vampire Killers. So that movie I used to like, and I haven't even watched it in years because of that. I might just rewatch it at some point. What the hell?
Yeah, well, it's the Ninth Gate. The Ninth Gate is the one that I get drawn to from him, and then there's I can still watch. It doesn't come up as often, but I can still watch Chris Benoit pro wrestling matches, not have a problem. If you're not familiar, he's the pro wrestler that
CT.
He killed his wife and son and then himself 14, 15 years ago now.
Yeah, I think it was CTE, the repeated hits to the head, because even though they pretend to fight, the impacts they suffer are still very real.
But like these days, I only watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. But he worked for them through the 90s, so there's lots of old footage of him, and sometimes it comes up as recommended, and I'm reminded, oh, wow, Benoit against Shinjiro Otani. Well, shit, I remember that was good. I'll have another watch, and I'm not thinking, oh, it's immoral if they still have him on here.
Well, he's also like, he's not alive. He's not getting money from it anyway. But I get your point. Like in mixed martial arts, one of the greatest fighters of all time, John Jones, is also not a very good person. Like the guy was high at some point, hit the pregnant woman with his car, ran away from there. Like he's allegedly, probably, we don't know, but he might not be the kindest to his wife. Like there's a lot of stuff going on with him, and at the same time, again, like, look, if he's gonna have a big fight against someone else, and like it's something that fans are going to talk about. So like, it doesn't mean that fans are approving of his behavior. It's very complex. Like, where do we stop? Like when we watch a movie, there's so many people worked on the movie. For sure, some of them are pieces of shit. Especially in Hollywood, we know that, right? Like Hollywood is filled with predators. So it's like, what? Every time we watch a movie, are we complicit in that? Like, where does it stop? But it's an interesting conversation. I'm not even dissing the conversation. It's just you can't impose your decision. I don't think you can impose your decision of that on other people. Is all I mean. Like, if I'm not comfortable watching this movie, it doesn't mean other people now I have to impose it on other people, stuff like that. If someone wants to watch Aquaman 2, I'm not gonna be like, don't you know what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp? And like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Well, I might do it conversationally, but I'm not gonna do it as a moral stance.
Okay. It has nothing to do with anything. I just remember I think it was her first lines in Aquaman when she shows up and just does this exposition dump. And I'm like, this isn't even first draft style material. This is like they're just filming the outline okay, this is the stuff that Amber Heard has to get across, and they just never developed it. She's just reading the outline.
Look,
to
Aquaman fans
Aquaman.
were just happy they cast Jason Momoa because people have been talking so much shit about Aquaman for so long.
Yeah,
Aquaman fans were just like, oh my god, finally they're gonna take him seriously. And now the Aquaman joke stopped. See, it worked. Yeah. So
Booyah!
The King of the Sea, booyah! Yeah, that was certainly not the Aquaman from the comics, that's for sure. Which is fine. No, they did their thing. I like Jason Momoa. Always plays the same guy in every movie, but I like him. And yeah. James, we're already over an hour, so can you? I want you to show off some of your books because, again, like this is like some non-geek people or geek or not into like maybe they don't know it. There's one that one was like I tried to read it and my brain was like, what am I reading? I kept getting confused reading it. I felt like I was it was so arcane. There you go. Yes. See, I was like, I couldn't keep up with the sentences. I had to restart the paragraph. I was like, what am I reading? And can you show the book cover, because you actually became kind of an expert in knowing how to make books as well through okay. So if you open that cover,
open the cover. It's
there's a hole in it.
Hole in it, yes.
That sounded wrong.
Well, that's the Book of Antithesis.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't even be surprised if the author somewhere suggests it could be used. No, never mind.
It has been suggested
by the author or by people online.
It has been remarked upon. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just worried because every so often I get emails about people that have enjoyed playing the game, enjoy the books, general support. I'm now like worried if I'm going to get weird pictures.
I encourage every person watching this to be creative with the book and send the pictures to James. James, you're welcome. I'm just trying to keep the social media going.
Don't be so creative, though.
Go for it. Like James is very anti-censorship. Just go for it.
God, it's. Yeah,
I'm tired, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're tired. It's after 4 a.m. here, so I had a nap before getting online right now. But yeah, they there's Book of Antithesis, which is unlike anything I've ever seen in role playing. I didn't understand what I was reading until the layout process, when the text was organized and formatted. And that's when I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. When I got the pitch and then I got the drafts in just like the text file form, I was just like, wow, I don't know what's going on here, but this seems wild. I guess I have to publish it to find out what happens. And
which is how you publish things, of course.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this. The person who wrote it means it as an actual book of magic based around the ritual of playing role-playing games, like rolling the dice and coming up with stories and writing stuff on a character sheet. So that's how I would best describe it. I don't know if you want to correct me or clarify something, or it's
it's the idea that playing role-playing games is inherently an occult act to begin with, and here are some rituals to get the most out of it. And then the second half of the book is a big adventure that takes advantage of that mindset. And then we have we got someone to do the foreword for the book, who basically the big takeaway was that, the evangelicals in the 80s were right about D&D. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be trouble. Okay, let's do
it. What? Wait, that's still a thing? Wait, is that still a thing? Are there still religious people going after D&D, or?
You don't hear about it so much, but his argument was in the 80s they were correct. That everything they said about D&D was right. It's going to warp the mind. It's going to take people away from the usual accepted existence.
Where did you find that?
That's J.F. Martel. He does he co-hosts the podcast Weird Studies, and he did. He's got his author on his own, where that's what is this reclaiming art.
So he made a book about art, but he's saying that it was D&D was actually harmful. Is that what he's saying?
No, he's not saying it was harmful.
Oh,
he's just saying that the evangelical his arguments with the evangelicals were correct about what D&D does but not that it was harmful to do so.
Okay, misunderstood from the beginning. That's why I was
yeah.
making faces. Okay.
Yeah. It's all pretty heady stuff, and I don't believe in the occult. I believe in magic as like a form of meditation, of focus, but not that there's actual magical or spiritual power being, so it's interesting finding out how many people in the role-playing community and in the Lamentations fan base are into that kind of thing to one degree or another, and it's just like, okay.
It's not surprising, is it?
Like in real life, I don't have any contact with people like that. So yeah, it's just, the online people, they believe odd things, and I guess they look at me and think, oh, these online people, they they believe odd things looking at me too. So fair enough. But it's an intriguing concept, and even though
it is,
but even though I don't believe in the rituals in the way that Joe Bittman, the author, is presenting them, I have my own little rituals I do to focus myself for role-playing games. Because I always have anxiety, like, the people are coming, I got to run a game for them. Oh goodness, what's going to happen? So it's like to calm myself down, to focus, to deal with being a host, because oh god, people, I've got things I do with the dice and things to like calm myself, to create. I would never have called them rituals before, but just habits I have to get myself in the mindset to run the game. And so, what did I say? I don't believe in what this book is saying. To me, it's just fiction like everything else I publish. But I believe in what the book is doing. So.
That's a good way of putting it. And, like something, I mean, for people like you and I who don't believe in the supernatural and all those things, it's all fiction to us anyway. Like when we're reading some monster book for role-playing games, we're not believing that those monsters are real, yet we're fascinated with it. So the fact that the author claims this is real doesn't make it any less fascinating. But again, I need to go back to that book when I had more sleep in me and more coffee or something, because I was really trying, and I was really interested, but I was like, I'm not in the right mindset for this. Like, I feel like I need to either be even more tired, so my brain is just like in this dream state, or be like really focused on it. I don't know how other magic books are written, but never read one, but now I have, I guess, to a degree. So yeah, your new product, because you recently came out with like a ton of new books at the same time. So I don't know if you want to show off because there's one book. Okay, there's a book of maps that's really useful, and I have a nitpick. James.
Oh God.
Yes, it's. I don't know if you want to show the maps a little bit inside, like, because Lamentations of Flame Princess deals with historical settings. Like it's not on like some fantasy land. It's Earth, but just, well, I mean, a fantasy Earth, I guess, but a historical Earth in the past. And you have a book of maps which is super useful. That said, why doesn't have little squares in it, so I can like just photocopy it and put it like on the table. Keep track of it more easily.
Okay. That's that
visual alone, or because the practicality of it, I feel like I know it's like the little squares have been so useful. Maybe like don't make them like really thick, but it's a very useful book, by the way. But it's just a nitpick I have. Like, it would have been so perfect for usability. Less so as a prop. I think this book you can give to players as a prop, and it's a really cool one. And I was thinking already, I had ideas from it, like, okay, what if there's different places to go, like investigate or loot or whatever, and you just give the book to the players and let them figure it out. You put some clues about where it could be and let them go like on a wild goose chase here and there. And so I think it's an amazing book. But was there like just a desire to make it look like an actual journal? Was that why? Or
yeah, well, remember the book, the person that put that book together, his thing is maps. That's what he does is his main contribution to role playing. He does some writing as well. I say. I wonder if I'm just crapping on his whole Midderlands project. He does some writing. No, but my interactions with him are doing maps for the most part.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea is this is a referee supplement. But as far as the grids, I mean,
I know
I guess
artistically it would have been compromised. I get it. I get that.
Yeah,
There's a choice to make. You know, like
I guess I'm too old school because the idea is that the maps in the books are for the referee running the game and has to communicate verbally to the players the setting and what's happening. It's never in my games do I put the map down or provide maps to the players. When I'm running games, there's still players with the graph paper going, okay, 30
yes, it's in the rules of your main core rulebook. Like I really appreciate how clear you made it. Like if someone is mapping the dungeon, this is how fast they can go. And I'm sure it was in other books as well but in yours you made it so easy to find. I really appreciate that in your another player's handbook, the book for
Rules
players.
and Magic, yeah.
Rules and Magic, thank you.
Yeah, so it's just a mindset because I hear like frequently for PDF reviews especially, it's like I can't port these maps into the virtual tabletop, and it's like why would you want to show the players the maps? I don't even understand.
Well, there you go. Now see, now you finally defended that. See, I don't come with ill will. I was like, look, this is my nitpick. What's the reason behind it? And now you explain yourself. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense to me. Yeah. Now I understand why. So see, if I ask a tough question, it actually gives you a chance to defend yourself. But yeah, I heard that a lot. Yeah. Also, even James Desborough mentioned that, like, oh, the grid would have been useful in his review. So I don't know, like, what other books do you have there? I'm gonna let you choose the order from here.
Okay. In a Deadly Fashion. That's a book about death and mystery around macaroni fashion in 17th century Spain.
Macaroni being kind of like the dandy type.
Really extravagant clothing.
Not the pasta. It's not about people making macaroni art. And,
that should be this. We've got Green Messiah, which I think is just an excellent. This is the book when Kelvin turned this one in. This is when I started comparing him to John Landis and Joe Dante and those really great 80s horror movie directors. It had a lot of comedy, and John Landis also did classic comedies. So it's just this has that really ominous yet very light-hearted kind of flavor in the writing.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think it could make fans of Superman really angry.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. We have Asterion. That was all about, what if we're gonna do an adventure about a Minotaur, and it's really, really horny, and that's all it is, and it's like, but it's just like a zine kind of format, so it's like, okay, limited idea.
Did you send me the? Oh yeah, I didn't have time to look at it. You did send it to
me. Oh no, because I sent you PDFs to look through.
Yes,
not
exactly.
Books. Drive through.
The time I have available sucks, and I don't know if I got it or not.
Drive through RPG would not allow me to have this on their
so
platform.
I don't have it. Okay, that's fine. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Does that adventure give the players the potential to become a character from Deliverance or Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction? Is that what's going to happen to them if it goes wrong?
It's a possibility, yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, I want to ask you something.
Yes.
James, have you ever traumatized a player in one of your games? Oh, geez, I was joking. Okay, well, let's hear it.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Player has not traumatized, but I set up a situation that was supposed to be kind of sensitive and difficult, and the player turned it around on me by just being so okay with it and wanting to get to the next step that I was just like, oh, Oh, now I'm a bit taken. I was like, oh boy, I got to go through with this now. They're not avoiding this at all. Oh shit,
I see.
that's embarrassing in front of all these people at the table. So it's
I have a player who's afraid of spiders, and they went to the Underdark, and like his wife is also a player. She had to step in because I was like, when I saw he was like, I started like really describing the spiders, and she's like, "Look, Bruno, you already stood from the chair. stop going into details." Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there's like one book, like for the creature generator, like the old one back from
I have the one from
2008.
Goodman Games. Yeah, I have the good one
Yeah,
from. That's the one I have. Yeah.
okay, well that's going
I
to
love
have
that.
all different art, but
Mm.
you know, in the versions I have, there are seals in there as monster, you know, depicted as a monster, singing seals, I think it is. And the reason it's in there is because the girl I was dating at the time, she was really freaked out for some reason about seals. And it's like, well, okay, well, if that's a phobia, let's use that. You know, let's
That's
put
what
some
you
seals
do.
in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
People are weak these days.
yeah.
Back in my day, I used to,
Yeah.
we used our players' fears against him. We didn't avoid them.
Well, it's well, that's the thing about horror games.
Yeah, I know.
The
No,
description. I mean, isn't it? Oh, I forget.
James,
Is
I
it
know.
D&D where it specifically is telling you scare
Ravenloft.
the characters, not the players?
Yeah,
It's like,
Ravenloft.
how the fuck does that work?
Such a useless book. The latest Ravenloft was such a disappointing, such a useless book, and yeah, the funny part is in the cover they're like face your fears or something, and I'm like, well, no, you're not. And then inside the book, well, the editors suck. I'm just gonna be honest about this. Inside the book, there's a place that says you can tell there are some writers who legit knew about horror, and then there were the other ones who didn't, and they're all clashing in this book. And in some place they say like it shouldn't be like Scooby-Doo, or there shouldn't be silliness too much, or I don't remember how they're basically saying it shouldn't be like Scooby-Doo. And later on in the book, it actually says, oh, you can totally make it, and in this case, they really say like Scooby-Doo. It can be like that. And the book contradicts itself, and it's like Ravenloft is completely useless to the point where actually game writer James Desborough was super motivated to finally do his horror tabletop role-playing game Whitechester, just over the fact that Ravenloft was so useless.
Yeah.
So,
When I was a kid, when I first got the Monster Manual, the AD&D First Edition Monster Manual, when it was the current edition, I was freaked out by some of the pictures. The undead, when I was 9-10 years old, first seeing that book, like the undead, the specter, the zombie, and the lich. Even though it was the simple line art, it freaked me out. I would not read that book at night. I just wouldn't do it. And I want to give adult players that same kind of feeling with my work. You know, that's kind of the thing. If you're going to do something that you want labeled as horror, you have to make some effort to actually be disturbing.
Yeah.
I like horror movies, and if it's a good one, it can still freak me out to this day. It's harder now because I'm so jaded and I've seen so much bullshit. But you know, you get a good horror movie, and you it creates that fight or flight sensation in you, even though you're in a movie theater, you're sitting on a padded chair and you got your popcorn, you know it's fake, it's in a movie, but it still gets you, because that's why you like stories. It's why you go to movies. You want to feel the actual emotion that's happening on the screen. And sometimes with horror movies, it'll get me, and I'm scared, or you know, I don't want to seem uncool by covering my eyes, so I'll just do the squinting thing, because oh my god, is something gonna jump out? Oh my god, you know, it gets me.
Okay, when I was in my early 20s, just to be fair, you admitted this much. I'll admit something. I went to see, which is not that scary, but I went to see The Grudge, and I was actually scared enough that I was like pressing against the person next to me.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so you know.
So the idea of
it wasn't a date or anything like that.
Yeah. So I know it's even harder to do that in role playing, that
Yes.
because you have a group of people and all it takes is one person at the table to just crack the wrong Monty Python joke to disperse the tension at the table. But it's, make the attempt. You think it's like, okay, we want people to get freaked out. There are a lot of ways to do it. You don't have to be graphic and gross and, there are different ways to do it, but whatever you're doing, it's like, do it.
My trick for that is to be indifferent, and like it's kind of funny because players cracking jokes in a horror game are kind of nervous. They don't want to be scared. They're preemptively fighting off the fear. And what you do is you don't like laugh along with it. You don't act annoyed at it. You just completely ignore it. And that's what I find, like when you want to scare your players, the joke never happened. You just keep going, yeah. So and you don't make this big effort. You just talk matter of factly, like, yeah. So as I was saying, there's a sound coming from upstairs, and then the person who just made a joke finds like, oh no, I'm back in that room now. It didn't take me out of it, because if I laugh with him or her, then we're out of the scene. If I act annoyed, we're out of the scene. If I completely just ignore that, we're still in the scene. And that it's a very, like, the body language has to be very specific, and I'm not going to try to explain on the camera, but I find like there's ways to just like shut that down, where whatever escape, like those are escape methods for people, because they want to feel scared but they don't, and it's like they can't help it. It's kind of like in horror movies these days, a lot of people whip out the cell phones because they want to kind of distract themselves from the fear they're having. In horror movies, stuff like that. Well, I mean, before the pandemic.
Well, I remember, and then you also put little twists of the knife to the players just to freak them out. I remember I had an idea. This was even before I'd started Lamentations, that on one of the old school message boards, talking about what do we do about the child orc problem? How do we make it so players aren't freaked out about
your antithesis book like had possessed children or something, which is just like, oh, they're meant to be killed. I was like, oh, that guy has no chill. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but there were some people that didn't like the idea. It's like, okay, you've got the orcs and goblins and they're evil and you can kill them, and I don't like the complications about what to do with orc children. I don't want to kill orc children, so I had this idea. It's like, okay, I'm thinking keeping the Borderlands, where it was just a bunch of tribal groups of orcs, hobgoblins, all the different types. So it's like you clear out a room of enemy combatants, and then you have like a goblin child come out from a corridor, just all sleepy, just heard the noise, waking up.
Was that in the book? Or
No. This is the idea I have to complicate things.
Yeah.
This is what I present. So you just have a goblin child come out from a hallway, dragging like a taxidermied human baby that they're using as a teddy bear, and then they're just like, "What did you do to my daddy?"
Have you watched or read Goblin Slayer?
No.
Is it because you don't like anime or manga, or you don't want to deal with the themes?
I really don't. Junji Ito is basically the only manga I read, because it's horror. I used to have a roommate back in the 90s, whose parents were both born in Japan, but he was born in the U.S. And so to keep in touch with his heritage, he bought tons and tons and tons and tons of anime laser discs. Fucking laser discs cost $100, as big as an LP, and I saw all sorts of weird shit and some good shit, some generic shit, and he just wanted to watch it all. That's where I was introduced to Legend of the Overfiend, Ratsuka Doji, or however it's said.
Is that a naughty one?
Oh, that's the naughty one.
Oh, okay. Because in Goblin Slayer, as I said, in Goblin Slayer, he kills the goblin babies, no problem. He doesn't. So anyway, go ahead. That's why I brought it up. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's the people don't want that moral difficulty in their games, and I think no, put it in there. That can be a horrible element in and of itself. You don't need monsters and scary situations. Just have a situation where no matter what they do, they're going to feel all grimy and filthy, and even in but it even works even if the players don't take it seriously. I mean, if people make jokes and make light of it, there's still a point where they realize that they're making jokes about a horrible thing.
Yes.
So it still works, whether they want to be thoughtful and torture themselves about doing the right thing in the game, or even being completely flippant about the most horrible shit. It still sticks. So there are a million ways to really get at someone, and because tabletop role-playing games, I don't think should attempt a standard story structure, because it is open-ended and you shouldn't have the ending in mind before you start.
100%.
So trying to shoehorn a standard story structure in there, it's
Your referee book, just so you know, James, you are actually a really big influence in how I run my games.
Okay.
I'm going to be transparent. I run Castles and Crusades, but I run
Okay.
traditional fantasy most of the time.
Yeah.
But your referee book and Lamentations of Flame Princess and the Grindhouse box,
Yeah.
which is an amazing box, very sturdy. I like it. I have like an old channel, my Bruno's Geek Reviews. I made a review of that, the Grindhouse box, and I kind of went, it's sturdy. I like it. I just smacked that box and it was fine. It was like just heavy. And anyway, so I want to say that referee book really influenced how I run my games, and I really enjoyed reading. In the past, I was already doing like that, but I thought I was being lazy. I thought a good game master would prepare everything that was going to happen. And then when I read your book, it was kind of like it legitimized how I was doing it. And then I realized instinctively, I knew deep down, well, the player's choices have to matter. Like I kind of knew,
Right.
but I thought that a good game master was just preparing for every single eventuality or something. And then I read your book and I was like, no, this feels right. That it should, you should know. And you said like the story is what happened at the end of the game. Then you look at everything that happened. That's the story. The story is not what you're creating. Like it's the result of the game, and the story shouldn't lead the game. The game leads the story. And these are my words. The last part. It's not in your book, but it's kind of my too long didn't read version of it. And also, I like the part that you were saying that you don't need rules for fear, because after a while, adventurers are going to start acting like very weird people, and it's true. Like as soon as players have encountered a few things, they start acting in the most weird ways. If they came across something weird, they try to replicate it, or they try to like. In something like, for example, at some point I did a game where the players faced Krampus, except they never faced Krampus in the sense that I don't know why. I don't know how they interpreted it, but they thought that they couldn't look at him. I don't know what happened. I don't know what an NPC of mine must have said, how they interpreted it. I don't know what happened there. I don't even know why they understood that. But I let it like, oh, so that the whole game, not only were they facing Krampus, they were avoiding looking at him.
Yeah, well,
it's like, and out of fear, and I'm like, okay, what happened in the past that led him to think this, or what did I say there? And they become so paranoid. It's amazing. It's and another time they're like in this inn, and tooth fairies come and like just kill one of the people there, just like go inside the mouth and all that. And that was a Lamentations game, by the way. And what happened is like the players found this wounded fairy without wings, and they're like, "Oh, Bruno, I thought this was gonna be a horror game, haha!" And a cutesy fairy. But then the other two fairies showed up that night, and then they kill a few commoners in the inn. And for some reason, the adventurers thought they were gonna be blamed for it, and so they started like digging and hiding the corpse, and they get caught by the mayor and other people. And the mayor didn't even think it was them, because the wounds are obviously not like they're like, why are you trying to bury them so quickly? It's like, well, we thought you were gonna blame us. Like, no, this is clearly not you. They're acting in such weird ways, so it was just when I read that, like player characters are just gonna act in the weirdest ways, and I just love to watch what happens. I don't try to steer in any direction. I just let them do their thing, and it's crazy. It's amazing.
Well, from the Grindhouse referee book, the adventure in there is Stranger Storm with the changelings, and it ends up that the players learn that there's a changeling in an orphanage. How do they find which kid it is? And there's a deal where if you could tell when someone was a changeling because there's a gemstone inside their heart. So you gotta do some digging to find out.
Yeah.
But even outside that situation, it's like once you introduce the changeling and you let them know there's a way to find out, you just gotta cut their heart out.
Oh, boy.
Then you introduce twins later in the campaign, not together, but just like, oh, you meet someone, and then later on they've got a twin that's just a normal twin, but the players see, oh, someone that looks identical, and then they're thinking, oh God, which is the changeling? How do we figure it out? So then because once there's a changeling, everything's
This is horrible. This is
screwed up.
horrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, so once you introduce a situation like that, the players, they're not going to be acting crazy because they're reacting to actual things happening in the game. So the things they're doing make sense. It's just to everybody else in the game world, they're going to be looking at them like, okay, you're a bunch of heavily armed, paranoid psychopaths.
Yeah.
And so you don't need sanity rules or things to deal with that. Just from not wanting to fall for the same tricks twice over the course of a campaign, they'll have so many defense mechanisms.
Especially if you go off some characters, they learn very quickly that this can happen.
Yeah. So you don't need rules to enforce that they're not fitting in with normal people anymore. It's just for the virtue of being adventurers and seeing all this stuff and wanting to protect themselves from the tricks that they know can happen. Normal people are just going to be like,
yeah, that referee book is really good. It's and there's a new one coming now with more stuff in it, but I really that text I've flipped over and over. It just not because I forgot it, just I enjoyed reading it. That referee book, I really enjoyed reading it. Just okay, we're over an hour and a half. So if you want to show us your other books, good.
Okay, let's see. What have we? Oh boy, I didn't grab the right ones, but that's not a problem. There's 6x6x6.
That's a fun one. That's a fun one.
Yeah, this is of all the books that I published, this one is the one that immediate use in my games all the time, every game.
And
this is basically
any rule set of similar ruled games.
This is basically 6x6x6. That's a nice little double meaning because it's the dice method. It's a book of 216 variations of Magic Missile that all have their little rules changes, plus 6 different frameworks of what Magic Missiles do. Mm-hmm. So, so the most simple little zap spell just gets transformed into something completely different to where it's not a generic spell anymore.
Crazy ones. There's one we can't show it because of YouTube, I guess, but again, at some point I just we'll go with Odyssey. I should upload an Odyssey. They don't censor the same way. It's kind of the head just rips. I like the just the spine. I'll show it, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, I previewed it online, and
you did? Okay, well, fine. Oh my god, that's so cool.
That one. And then the thing is, so cool. That's what happens to the caster. That's the caster.
Shoot something.
That's not the victim. That's not the target. That's the caster, and that's the kind of thing to have the freedom to when you read the description and you think, oh, let's illustrate that, and then I got one of the artists that's very realistic. Having the freedom, so that picture that wasn't even there was no second thoughts about it. It's like, this is what we do. This will be a cool picture.
Can you show the one with it's like the machine going through people?
Oh yeah, this is. What
am I looking at? It was so crazy.
Yeah, this is one of the page 3 or something like that.
That's just okay. So for people who this is a spell that a character can cast, and this thing will appear, and there's more people down.
That's a magic missile. Yeah, I mean that's your standard magic missile. This is the idea of how this will manifest. So it's basically the pictures get on board right now with this concept. This is it. This is how crazy we're getting.
And this one works with any game that has magic missile. So
and so this picture, the design of the monster. Oh God, I'm very bad at remembering names off the top of my head, but this is the guy that we were using as inspiration for the monster artwork, like the Judas Priest screaming for vengeance art. That kind of like very bright, saturated color, neon kind of thing. That ends up just scraping through an old French tennis match. So it's like, okay, this is the insanity that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
when I'll probably get physically. Just I'm probably gonna get it soon.
Yeah, and then there's another, and then a few pages after there's the one with the tooth ejecting, the rotten teeth, and that one, it's like people who like Lamentations aren't going to be freaked out by this dental trauma thing. And again, this is happening to the caster. The details of the spell is that they're.
And then the mouth stinks for a while.
Yeah. Is that the jaw distends and then these giant rotten teeth fly out at the targets.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining, here's this, because I get my stuff distributed through the game stores. So I can imagine someone seeing this that's not familiar with Lamentations saying, "Oh, this looks weird. What is this? 666? Oh, nice book. Cloth."
They read the back. I'll take it. They haven't opened it yet.
Yeah, and then when they start paging through and get to that dental trauma picture, I'm hoping someone really gets messed up, because like I had, like when I saw that description and I was thinking, oh, we have to illustrate that one, because I had a horrible experience getting my wisdom teeth taken out. The anesthetic didn't put me out. I was awake. I was awake. I didn't feel pain. It was all numb. And I couldn't move, so I was like paralyzed but aware. So I couldn't feel it, but I could hear everything that was going on as they were breaking up the tooth and then pulling the bits out.
Here I'm laughing at it. Yeah.
Well, I'm using it as entertainment in a game book now, as inspiration.
We're for dentists, and now it's entertaining for players.
Yeah. It's the idea. It's like, okay, this really bothered me. So then going to the dentist, it's just like, oh God, I hate it. So the idea of, oh, here's something dealing with like dental trauma in the writing. Let's make that a big full page illustration, because I think that's really freaking gross. So that'll really creep other people out. That's how I make these decisions and these creative decisions. It's not that I want to just freak out the people.
James, don't you know that if someone sees your book and feels uncomfortable, you're an evil person?
I know, but the best things that make other people uncomfortable are things that also make me uncomfortable. That's the point. I get affected by the stuff too. It's not that I'm the unfeeling I laugh at all the hardships. It's if something affects me, I figure that's something that'll affect other people.
Art should address everything. Nothing should, and it's not true that. It's kind of funny because the people who kind of like criticize dark subject matters in role-playing games are also the people who are like degrading it, dismissing it as an art form, because they go, oh, why would you do that with your players? Why would you do that? Like put that dark subject matter or whatever. Why would you? And it's like, you don't ask that of movies. Like I love Tarantino movies, and like, some people complain, but normal people consider people complaining about Tarantino movies to be idiots. So it's like, it's art, and art should address everything that someone feels like address. I mean, okay, no. See, now this is where we get trapped in what we say, right? Now, maybe not everything, but
watching like Cannibal Holocaust or a Serbian film.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
See a Serbian film. To me, there's moments when I feel like it should have been cut away visually. I do have a gripe with that movie, actually. So I'm offended by the movie.
Serbia. I went into that completely cold.
If you like them, I'm gonna attack you. I'm not gonna.
No, I went into that movie completely cold. Film festival here in Helsinki was showing it, and when I go to this film festival, I try not to read the descriptions so much. I'm there just to see stuff I haven't seen. So I want to go in cold.
You haven't seen that.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was going to be, and I was there with my ex-wife. She's my wife at the time. And it's like, okay, what's the Serbian film?
That's what led to the.
Oh my God, what
Yeah.
is?
I think
I was freaking out. I mean,
I think
the stuff with the kids. I was
Yeah.
trying to disassociate myself so much. The fact that the movie was very technically well made it so much worse because I was like trying to look for the cut things on green
I
screen.
think
Please let me see. Oh my
yeah,
God, this is too
I
much.
think my issue with the movie is that I don't think that there was a story that shouldn't be addressed. So I mean, I wouldn't have liked the movie no matter what. I didn't even watch it actually. What happened is I watched a review, and then no, that wasn't it. I started watching it because I didn't know like the person who made the movie was in legal troubles or something. And when they got to, I'm just gonna say when the main character sees what it means to take away innocence or some bullshit like that, the bad guy said, that's when I stopped. And at some point I saw someone making a review trashing it, and I was like, it was very cathartic for me because I was so like angry at what I had seen. It was very cathartic for me to watch someone trash it. But I want to say though, I do think, and see, I'm very anti-censorship and all that. But I do think, for me personally, it went too far. Not in the story it had to tell, even though I don't like it. I'm not gonna say you can tell a story, but in how it chose to show things visually, where I feel like they could have told that story without doing that, and that's where I personally, and we're all different, but I feel it went too far. I felt offended by that movie.
Yeah, well, there's
So
a
even
difference
I'm like
between.
super, yeah.
Well, there's a big difference between you not liking something, and I didn't. I wouldn't say I enjoyed the movie at all. It was,
If someone
it,
enjoyed the movie, that might
yeah.
be scary.
But the idea that people should be in legal trouble for showing it, I don't agree with it. That people should be
It's a
prevented
touchy
from
gray
seeing.
area, legally speaking. Yeah, because
Well,
it kind of.
the question for me is was the stuff with the kids done with special effects, or did they actually do stuff to the kids? If
No,
it's
they
special
didn't.
effects, then it's make believe. Then it's absolutely fucking horrible to experience as a film. But
Yeah.
no children were harmed in the making of this movie. That's the thing. That
Yeah, I don't think the guy should.
but
No, I don't think the guy should have been in legal trouble. But I guess I get through the wording of the laws and all that, and then some people went after him.
Well, remember people in the United States and I remember, what was it, an Ohio case? Somebody was arrested for possessing child porn because they had some manga that the local authorities didn't like. You have the Mike Diana case with the Boiled Angel, where he was convicted on obscenity charges for the comics he was writing. So just because the law says things doesn't mean the law is right when applied to artistic work.
Yeah, there's something where, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to go deep into the subject matter, but I think there's this whole debate of, let's say someone looks at drawings. Do those drawings for that person? Do they allow him or her to get rid of something? Like, is it like, okay, now that I saw this, I got it on my system. I am no longer. I'm not gonna do anything stupid because I got it on my system, or is it, oh, this is encouraging me through that story to maybe take it a step further? I think that's the debate, and we don't really know. And but anyway, it's a whole mess when you go into that subject matter.
Well, my ideals. Let's say the King in Yellow, the play from the Chambers books. The idea that this play drives people insane if they see the play. And my thought is that even if there was something like that actually made people insane, that shouldn't be grounds to ban it. I mean, I'm way out there because as far as I'm concerned, if you're presenting something as true, then the responsibility is on the creator, because they're saying this is real, this is true, so they have a responsibility to actually be truthful. If you're presenting something as fiction, the responsibility is then on the audience to understand this is fiction.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, for example, I read recently someone making it was a Latina writer who she was kind of bemoaning that if she wants to write Latino characters, like she as a Latina writer has to avoid flaws that other people could see as stereotypical. So she's limited in what she can write with her characters because of white people stereotypes, which like no, like if an artist has a story to tell, and I'm using I guess a safe example, I guess, because it is a person of color writing who's been wanting that, so I'm using a very safe example. But my point is like, look, when people have a story to tell, they have a story to tell, and now doesn't mean I'm gonna like the story, doesn't mean I'm gonna agree with it, doesn't mean I'm gonna be happy it exists, but yeah, people are very quick to go into book burning, I think. But anyway, okay. Speaking of books, so you have a few more of the recent ones that came out.
Yeah. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
grab the one I didn't get. Yeah. Sorry about that. Terror in the Streets. It's another Kelvin one that got done while waiting for some of the other ones. This is basically Jack the Ripper-ish kind of situation going on in 1630s Musketeer era Paris.
Nice.
With twists and turns. Then we've got, this is the one that if people don't like one of them, it's
Title redacted.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought that was going to be the one.
It is the one, but the title's not redacted on the print version. Drive-through would not allow this title. So, note that
it's a pun.
GHT. It is a pun, and it's people.
It's a place, and
the Isle of Wight. And
we're running out of time, so I'm not going to go into there. I now retroactively wish we had time to go into that, but we're running out of time. But damn it, I wish we had time to discuss that one. Anyway.
And then
if you always got free now.
If you order from the EU web store, every order while supplies last gets a copy of The Butchery of Agnes Gooder. And if you order 8 things or more at once, like all of the new books, you also get a free copy hardcover of the throwback Death Frost Doom, a reprint of the first edition from 2009 in hardcover.
With the old school art, and I have another version that came out after with beautiful art, but this is on purpose the old school one from back when you were kind of like printing in your own house and all that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Was that all of the books?
Was that all of the books?
I know you sent me a few that were from way before.
They're Well, I got one other one here. This was released the end of 2019. And the summer solstice was now 2 days ago where I am. But this is the idea. Midsummer had just come out. I got together with Kelvin. It's like, hey, this could be Lamentations. Let's just make it midwinter instead. And we could, it's funny. When this came out, someone was like, "You copied the cover off of Midsummer." It's like, no shit. The movie poster. It's like, yes, it's a whole parody. It's a redo. I mean, it's midwinter. I mean, holy shit. How do you miss that? It's intentional.
I gotta ask you something.
Yeah.
When are you making a book that's set in modern times?
I don't think I'm so interested in that.
Really?
That's
fine.
I mean, I suppose if there
maybe I'll take it up on myself. You allow people to use you license people to maybe I'll take it up on myself then.
Yeah, because I suppose if someone had a great pitch for me, but there's the commercial element. It's like, okay, here's something that wouldn't fit into the rest of the game line at all. So would it sell? My problem is I don't understand modern technology too well. I haven't internalized the cell phone, the mobile phone. Like I use mine
in the 80s.
yeah. I mean, I use mine basically as a pocket watch. It's an old Windows phone, so I can't download any apps for it because everything's either for Android or the iPhone. Mm-hmm. And so internalizing, like when I see a new movie like set in the 80s, it looks normal to me. I don't notice that it's
not to me anymore, but I realized that it used to be like, I was born in 82, so yeah, it's a weird feeling for me. It's kind of like half,
Yeah, I was born in 74, so.
But you thought cities were not a good place for adventure, and then Vornheim sold like crazy. So
yeah, but but even so, it's like my experience, like I've never had a driver's license, so I've never been a driver. So So my relationship to cars. I mean, when's the last time?
So you don't talk about family, wearing a shirt without sleeves, street
Yeah,
racing. You don't do that.
yeah.
It's
It's
family. About
so much
family.
of modern life. I'm a weirdo. So you can get away with not understanding actual society if you're doing it historically, because you just concentrate on what you're concentrating on. But to present something in contemporary life that everybody experiences differently than I do, apparently, the
Or maybe that's what makes it interesting.
it might make it interesting, but it's
It's okay, James.
I
If you don't
feel,
want to do it, just say it. Just say
yeah,
it.
I
Don't worry,
really
okay? That's
I
fine.
like the historical. I like the historical stuff because I feel more free to put the ideas in that context, and so that it'll feel right. Whereas with modern day, especially after the internet and cell phones, if you're doing any weird thing, you've got to account for all of the different ways that is. Oh god, yeah. Like how many horror movies? It's amazing how many horror movies have to get rid of cell phones. They have to address the cell phone question. They have, and it's just like, oh, this is so tedious. You know, and this fucker next to me is looking at his phone during the movie, and I got to think about the phone in the movie. Oh, fuck this thing. It's like, it's. I mean, when the idiots were burning 5G towers thinking they caused COVID, it was like, the good thing is, oh, maybe cell phones will stop working. Gee.
Well, that's it's interesting how it went there. I'm like, we're gonna make a modern adventure. Let me rant about modern times.
Yeah.
Okay, James. Look, we're gonna reach 2 hours in a few minutes, so let's.
Okay.
Honestly, I could have talked to you forever. It seems we're both very talkative people. Uh, so before I go, anything you want to tell the viewers?
Check out and buy Lamentations of the Flame Princess books. LOTFP.com. All the new stuff's available right now from the EU web store. We've shipped worldwide. The bonus items will only be available from the EU web store. The stuff should hit the US warehouse, be available from the US web store, and then through retail stores in February. I think they told me is when the freight's going to get there. Or you can use the link off the LOTFP website if you want to get the stuff in PDF form. It's all available there. When you log on to the drive-through RPG, remember to turn the adult filter off, or else you'll miss half our books. Yeah, and there's a Lamentations of the Flame Princess official Facebook group that's got a lot of discussion. Fans talk and exchange war stories, and put memes that are tangentially related to Lamentations, and the usual internet community stuff. It seems to not have a lot of nastiness, so that's good. And yeah, just support weird things as much as you can. If not my stuff, somebody else's. Just make sure normal things aren't the only things that are available and successful.
I like that. Okay, that's an amazing closing statement. James, thank you for coming to the show. Everyone, thanks for watching.
Thank you for having me.